Hey, it's me, Kathy, and today I want to talk about Resident Evil games. I am a enjoyer of Resident Evil games. I love anything Resident Evil. I have Resident Evil 2 for 7 and 8, and I also played Resident Evil Revelations 2. I didn't get all the episodes, but I played episode 1. And one thing I hate about Resident Evil games is how unscary they are. Now, when I said that, you probably went, wait, huh? Resident Evil is scary. And I'm not saying that there aren't genuinely tense moments. I'm saying that the games get trash after a certain point. I'm going to give an example. The best example being Resident Evil 2. Now, I'm gonna say this before y'all try to roast me, but I'm gonna be honest. Resident Evil 2 had some of the tensest moments, and I'm not saying it wasn't scary. I mean, the beginning had me crying on my first playthrough, and even on my other ones, it's still tense to this day. But the problem is, the game starts off with Leon, a rookie cop, a relatable situation for anyone. He's just a standard guy with standard weapons, and at the beginning of the game, he doesn't even have the knife. And warning, there are a lot of spoilers for Resident Evil games in this video. So if you haven't played Resident Evil 2 or 4 or any of the games, you might not want to watch this yet. But what I am about to say is Resident Evil 2 starts off really scary, really tense, really realistic. I mean, all you have at first is just a pistol and prayers. And you're going against zombies. It's a tense situation, a real situation that anyone could go through at any possible time. Leon doesn't have unrealistic weapons. He is just a regular guy who unfortunately decided to be a police officer on the day that the world decided it wants it to end. Also, if you're wondering why my voice changes like every single video, it's because sometimes I get sick and it sound weird. But back to the original topic. When you start the game, you literally are a regular guy, a regular cop with regular weapons. All you have is a 9mm pistol, and after you meet Marvin or Martin, I forgot because I haven't played it in a while, you're you get a knife, which allows you to counter the zombies and stab them while they're down. But so far, you don't have any actually overpowered weapons. All you have is a pistol and a knife, which is pretty realistic and also makes the game really tense. You also have less resources, which means it will be much harder to deal with zombies, and if you miss a single headshot, you're probably done for. A little later, you get the weapon keycard, which allows you to get access to a shotgun. And, well, this it's a lot better than your pistol. But there's not that many shotgun shells, and you still have to pull off a headshot for the shotgun to actually be useful. And you also have to be a lot closer to aim accurately because shotguns shoot pellets. But so far, the game isn't too bad. I mean, sure, it's lost a little bit of its initial tension because you now have a shotgun, and you know what a shotgun is in horror games. It is the most overpowered thing you will ever come across. But so far, things are realistic and tense, which is good. You still have tension, you're still a little scared, you're still struggling with resources and questioning whether you should shoot that zombie right now and get it out of the way and waste potential ammo on another zombie that's actually in the way and will kill you, or let it sneak up behind you during a later encounter and kill you. So the game's still scary at this point. It's still in a police station in a rundown zombie city, and you're also still playing with realistic civilian weapons. Any civilian can own a pistol and a shotgun, and also a knife. But from here, things go downhill. I just gave Resident Evil 2 a bit of credit, a lot of credit actually, and now I'm about to mention what I don't like. After a while of exploring, Leon has to go find Claire because Marvin told him to come see something on the computer, and Leon is happy seeing Claire on the computer, so he has to go meet her in person. And after running all the way across the police station to go see Claire, who probably doesn't even really care for him like that, uh, she has to deal with some zombies, and Leon has to deal with some zombies. So Leon picks up a pair of bolt cutters that were conveniently on a barrel next to him, opens the door, and has to fight more zombies in the RPD, which appeared out of literally nowhere, and has to fight his way back into the safe room where Marvin is. And he gets a flash grenade. Now, I don't know much about police, but since when did police just randomly leave flash grenades on counters? I mean, that is irresponsible. I don't think any normal civilian is walking around with flash grenades. But Leon is a cop, so I'll try to let it slide. But even then, a literal flash grenade, a tool that can blind people and make it basically impossible for someone to fight back, is laying on a counter. A literal counter. Like the type you put stuff on while you're cooking because you're too lazy to actually organize your stuff. Yeah, it's just sitting there for anyone, any person to just snatch it and throw it. And after this part, I guess the tension is kind of back because, I'm not dealing with flash grenade on counter, but you still have to deal with the fact that there was, in fact, a flash grenade on that counter. And that's not talking about how in Resident Evil 3 there was a grenade in a freaking locker. A store locker, I think. Now, I'm no genius, but what sort of human civilian has a grenade in their locker, their work locker? But we're talking about Resident Evil 2 here, so let's get back on topic. A lot of stuff happens. I don't really want to talk about it since most of it is pretty boring to me. But yada yada yada. Leon ends up in a laboratory with a freaking FBI agent who's actually not an FBI agent if you actually played the game. And he gets shot and survives with basically no medical attention at all because, zombie apocalypse town, no sort of doctors whatsoever. But it's okay because hot Asian spy lady. And I'm pretty sure there's a segment where you play as her. I just really don't want to talk about it. It's kind of boring. But a lot of stuff happens. And wait, no, I think it's technically before all this happens. But Leon ends up in a freaking laboratory. What the heck? A secret underground laboratory with all sorts of genetic experiments. And that's not mentioning that before all this, there was lickers. These creatures with no eyes, no visible ears, but somehow they can hear literally everything. And also have skin that's tough enough to resist bullets. But, enough about this. We're talking about the freaking laboratory. How the heck is a secret underground laboratory just sitting around right here? Like, near this police station, if not in the police station. I forgot because it's been a long time. Well, technically a while. Uh, I just, I just don't understand this lore at all. So, yeah, a lot of stuff happens. Laboratory, 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 and city gets freaking blown up. Oh, and not to mention before that, apparently FBI lady is secret spy who wants to sell the virus. Okay, there is no way the rent was that high. But from this explanation of mine alone, from just Resident Evil 2, you can see, you can literally feel the problem irradiating from the screen. At least it should be like that if I did it right. But what I'm saying is, game starts off realistic, scary, and creepy, and slowly descends into madness that is scientifically or impossible or just completely illogical. Like, for example, liquors are basically nonsensical. They have no ears, no eyes, yet they can hear everything. Then there's Mr. X, who is basically bulletproof. Then there's the fact that you end up in a laboratory when you were previously in a police station. And also, this is like, what, the 19,000s in this game? Which means, realistically, they shouldn't even have the tech to accomplish this. And when you start the game, you have no resources and only one weapon if you're lucky. You have a knife and a gun most of the time. And then you get a shotgun. And then you get a revolver, which is basically just your pistol but better. And then you get all sorts of other weapons, which makes it literally impossible for the game to be scary because you have overpowered gear. And not to mention the fact that the setting is so unrealistic that even if you were still dealing with the insane resource management of early game Resident Evil, you would still not be scared simply due to the sheer confusion that you're facing. Initially, I was going to compare it to Forsaken, but then I realized, nah, save it, because I want to make a Forsaken video. And, what I have to say is, oh my gosh, it is impossible to be scared when you're playing as a rookie cop, somehow having the skills to escape what I can only describe as something that looks like it came from the depths of heck, if you understand what I'm saying. But let's move on to a more positive example. Resident Evil 7 is one of those games that somehow manages to retain the tension throughout the entire game, despite you getting much better weapons. And it does that by the use of phobias. The entire game, it tries to freak you out with all sorts of freaky, gross, gooey stuff, and it works most of the time. And you're probably wondering how. I thought you said Resident Evil games were all bad. No, not all of them were bad. And Resident Evil 8 is also good, and you're probably wondering how, considering the game looks like it got ripped straight from freaking Narnia. But that's what makes it good. Instead of being a game that tried to look serious but ended up looking like a freaking Fortnite lobby, the game, more specifically Resident Evil 8, leaned into the fantasy to create a bit of tension. Also, the sacrifice at the end was peak, but a lot of people call Ethan selfish for it. Honestly, I don't really care. I mean, the idea that he lived his entire life in stress and died saving his daughter is pretty cool. But I want to talk about Resident Evil 7, considering I haven't actually finished 8. And I watched Corey Kenshin play Resident Evil 7, so I know a decent amount of the gameplay. So, yeah, you probably wondering, wait, didn't you just say you bought Resident Evil 7? I haven't beaten it yet. I just got past Jack Baker, so no, not gonna be beating the game for a freaking YouTube video. So, yeah, cry about that. But what I want to say is not that, okay? What I want to say is that Resident Evil 7 is good. Like I said, it uses phobias, but not in a cringe way that makes it seem edgy. It uses phobias in a way that disgusts you. Everything looks old, busted, and disgusting. And it keeps that tone throughout the entire game. Even the initial start of the game looks pretty creepy. I had a friend over who played the game on my PlayStation. He couldn't even get past the forest because he did not want to deal with it. He saw Jack Baker walking. At least I'm assuming it was Jack Baker because it looked like a guy, and the only guy in the house was Jack Baker and that one kid who loses his hand at the freaking dinner scene. But yeah. Anyway, have a nice day. I don't really know how much longer I can talk about the subject, so bye.